Hi and welcome to this advanced tutorial. I hope that you have enjoyed the project so far. In this tutorial I'll be showing you how to make some of the more advanced changes in the Rake Media Pack, and I've chosen to do it on video because I find it much easier to explain and you don't have to read through pages and pages of instructions to get the correct instruction. So let's get started. First I'm going to go through the trailer composition right here. And there's two types, as you can see. The top type it's just a very basic tidied up version of the Rake Media Pack. The bottom uncomped is the exact same thing, except all the layers are included. So you can find yourself editing this much simpler. Also additionally, you can copy and paste any of these segments here and do whatever you wish. So let's first take a look at some of the text items here. You can see I've included color code for the text, and generally any of the layers you can press U to open up any keyframes that are available, and under here nothing else is available. But in the brown objects, if you press U here, you've got evolution, which is the fractal noise that basically alters the appearance of it. Over time it will give you a nice even appearance. So that's very simply what you can do if you ever get stuck or you're not sure what to do. So just select a layer and press U, and that will reveal everything. Let's go through some of the other segments right here. We have up here, you may have noticed some orange layers here. These are the flashes or the transition between segments that give it a much nicer, cleaner cut rather than just cutting straight through to something. So it gives you a nice transition. You can again copy and paste. I've created about 3 different ones. You've got a white flash, you've got a normal flash, which is what you see here. You've also got a vertical flash, which basically makes it look like it's something from Alien. I don't know, you can copy and paste it in anything. Just make sure you put it in the right place. Additionally, these have to be above your layers whenever you're using them. So that's the transitions. Now if we scroll down here, there are some text items here that are 3D objects. So just keep that in mind whenever you want to make any changes or copying this, because 3D objects are not the same as 2D, obviously. So if you want to scale it or whatever, you got to keep that in mind. Also, you'll need a camera to make sure that if you want to change the angles or give it a additional other settings, then you'll probably need a camera for that. So the other thing I want to also cover on the camera is the transformation. You can create a wiggle expression that gives the camera a very nice handheld appearance. Now my computer's not that fast, so I'm just going to turn those off, turn this on. Now if you press hold alt and click the stopwatch here, type in wiggle to 15, what it will do is it will create a nice handheld effect. Now you can't really see this until you render it, but generally 215 is a good value. If you want it to move more, just increase this value. That will increase the magnitude. If you want it to move less often or more often, 25 frames, that means it'll be really jerky, it'll be really fast. So you can experiment with that and see what you can do with it. The first time you get this project file, you probably want to get started really quickly. I've created only one. You can just use the trailer, edit the text into whatever you want. You can just double click the text and type in whatever. Or you can use the blast trailer example. That's in the toolbox folder. So if you open up the trailer example right here, it's very simple. There's no music underneath it. I've kept the theme to as close to the color scheme as I could, but you feel free to change any of those other things. Just change the text, experiment around, and hopefully you won't have too much trouble here. Now my computer is really slow. The one other thing I also want to cover before I go, just quickly skim through the rest of the stuff, is 3D text. Now this 3D is not real 3D. If you want real 3D in After Effects, you'll probably have to get After Effects CS4. I don't have it, I'm using CS3. But if you do get CS4 and you get to do 3D text, then go for it. That'll be good. But this is a very simulated 3D text. Basically what I've done is I've got 3 layers here, each one a 3D object, and on the Z axis, which is the blue button mode, which is basically that, I've basically made it, pushed it back very slightly, just enough so that it will give it some depth, but not so much that you can tell that it's not a 3D object. You can change the thickness of this. It's basically an illusion. You can change it by just altering the Z axis. But all 3 of them are the same composition. If you select, hold Alt and double click one, it's just a text file, 1 layer. So that's an easy way to do it. And once you have that, you create three layers. The 2 layers that are behind the front layer, you apply an effects control, just brightness and contrast into whatever you want. Generally the second layer I like to give it a nice bright appearance, and the back layer I like to bring it all the way down to really dark. And whenever you just make things easier, just make sure you create a null object, which is this yellow one right here, and group these 3 to that object. That way you can just animate the null object to create the animation. So it makes it much easier. So as you can see, it's not a 3D object, it's just a simulation of it. But generally when people read it at this angle, it looks like a 3D object. You know, it's all an illusion. Now hopefully that will cover most of the more complicated segments. You can feel free to explore the intro comms. This is again the intro that you see, but I've just compiled it into compositions. Just open them, copy and paste whatever you want. The other few things I do want to show you, I've got numbers right here. This is a separate object. I've applied an expression to give you the effect of random numbers. Feel free to copy and paste these effects into your sequence. And we have color grading. Now color grading's pretty cool because I like doing that for film, but I've created about 6 different types of color grading that you can copy and paste. You can take a look at that, experiment all you want. Remember, these are adjustment layers, so make sure they're above the layers you want it to affect. One more other thing I do want to show you is the windows. Now if you open up the Windows composition, right here you see, just like in the trailer, these windows. Now this again is a composition itself with a vector object that I've used. So if you hold Alt and double click, this will open it up, and the border right here is the actual vector object. And if you click this red the star thing right here, it will make sure it keeps it sharp instead of pixelating. Again, we've got number items here, as you can see, and you can just change the text to whatever you want. Isn't that cool? So one other thing of the windows right here, these 2 are easily made. You can just drag and drop. I've put the window objects under the objects file folder, so you can alter them, duplicate them, whatever you like to do. The other thing is, you may have seen the carousel, which is this one, and if I just solo that, 6 objects surrounding 1 null object. Now this is really painful to do, but that null object, which is this right here, is holding all 6 of them. And to create this is fairly simple. I'll quickly show you how to create this if we start from scratch. So let's create a new composition. After you've created a new comp, we're going to create a null object. Change this into a 3D object, press P, move that back by around 1000, doesn't matter. And then if you go to the objects folder, you can pick a window. Let's choose window 5. Turn that into a object, whatever. And what you want to do is you want to copy this 5 times. We'll do that, we'll just do that twice for the moment. Change the Y rotation to 180 degrees. Now it's facing backwards. And what you want to do now is move the anchor point to about double of that. So if you 1061, let's make it to 122. Cool. Now the other way you can do this is if you want to make more. Before we do that, let's first pick whip that into the null object here. Press R, give this a test. There you go. Perfect rotating carousel. And if you want to do it again, just duplicate it, press R, make it, I don't know, you can figure out the math later. I'm just going to do this roughly. Pick whip it, and group it up with the null object. And once you're done, you have a carousel. Feel free to put as many as you like, as few as you like. Just be sure to include a 3D camera to make things easier. So that's the windows for you. And hopefully through your use of this, you will find this really useful. I certainly did. I had a lot of fun making it, so feel free to use any of the toolbox. Please don't resell this in any way, because I can't buy my porch.